Alright, in this video, a quick follow-up to the sunrise sunset video I just posted recently. Um, this is the code. I'm going to talk about this right here, a little bit of math, and you're going to notice, or I noticed something last night where I was messing around with this a little bit more, and these numbers were different, and I figured out what the problem was. So it's important, but then again, it's just a small minor change to our code. Right now, these two things are showing the same amount, and it's still my code is different. Let me show you my code for this particular piece now. So if I go into here, look at the code now. I had the same numbers over here in the video. It was showing the same numbers. And if you look down here at homemade code, I just had AI sunset and sunset, whereas now I have in sunset and in sunset. What this is going to do, now notice the code up here has in sunset as well because it's talking about the next sunset, next sunset, next sunset. So here, this code from KLWP, one that's automatically built in, I know this isn't the clearest thing in the world, but it's going to tell you, now I think this code yesterday we talked about how many minutes do we have until the next sunset. We have 532 minutes for both of these codes. But what I had yesterday was this, and it's not going to change the number now. If I go in here and delete the ends, I'll tell you what, let me go to my cell phone. If I delete the ends, the numbers are still going to match up. But here's what happened last night. Once the sun had set and I had this code typed in like this, what it was doing is it was counting the number of minutes since that sunset for yesterday. It wasn't looking ahead at the next sunset that passes. So really, when I come here and I type in these ends, what it's going to do, or what I think it does, it did work last night when I did this. Putting those ends there, once a sunset passes, the code is telling it to look for the next sunset. So be careful when you're doing certain codes. Ask yourself, do I want the sunrise and sunset strictly for today, even though it has already passed? For example, here, let me do something else in this code just for the sake of this. Let's just talk about sunrise. All right, so sunrise. And I'm going to copy this code down here, but I'm going to talk about sunrise. And watch what happens. I think I can show you or duplicate the issue. And it's not a problem, it's just the way I was doing my code. And let me change this to sunrise. Now this is going to be a big number. As you can see, 1,368 minutes until the next sunrise. Now let me come down here and copy this code, and I'm going to come in here and change. I'll tell you what, we'll come and put it down here. Okay, this is homemade sunrise. All these are minutes. Okay, let me delete the end. Now watch this. Now it's already, the sun has already risen here where I am. So if I do sunrise and I do sunrise without the ends, notice we're getting a negative number. What this is showing here, this is showing the sunrise for today, sunrise for today. Now notice these two numbers do not match up, because if I don't put that in front of it, it's still thinking about the sunrise that's already happened, which was 72 minutes ago. But I don't care about that anymore. If I'm doing math with it, maybe I want to look at the next sunrise that's going to happen. So what I need to do is I need to come in here into my code and say, okay, look at the next sunrise that's going to happen. And now, notice when I change those to ends, these two codes match up. And just like up here, if I come up here and delete this end in this code, I'm going to get the same thing as what I got back here without these pieces. And think about it. See, notice the codes do match up. Think about that. If you want to, with the ends in here like this, what that's going to do, it's not going to skip a sunrise now. With the ends like that, basically KLWP is going to say, okay, the sun has already risen, so what it's going to automatically do, it's going to look at the next sunrise. Whereas if I take those away, it's strictly talking about the sunrise that has happened or is going to happen. And in this case, since we have a negative number, the sun has already risen and it rose 73 minutes ago. So that n makes a big difference in that problem. And I tell you what, I'll just save that. If I go up here to these two pieces I have up here, let me make this a little bit bigger. Now, what I did in here, if you go back and look at your codes for this particular problem, if you did follow this video, it's already looking at, okay, next sunrise. So this one right here, KLWP, is actually looking at the sunrise for tomorrow morning. The sunrise tomorrow morning is going to be 6:58. If I come in here and delete this in, I don't know if it's going to change because the sun might have rose at 6:58 this morning too. Actually, it rose at the same time. But nonetheless, that n is going to look for the next one. This one down here, the next sunset. Now this n here, since the sun has not set today, technically if I come in here and delete this n, it's still going to give me the same exact number because the next n, the next sunset, is going to be the sunset that happens this afternoon. But once that sunset passes, if I keep this code the way it is, once it's 5:01 or 5 o'clock, right after 5 o'clock, this code is going to tell KLWP to look at the next sunset, which will be tomorrow. So the n is the big thing I wanted to hit on here. It can cause issues in your coding, as I showed you with this one I duplicated with sunrise. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you're using the right letter for what you're trying to find. And just again, a quick recap and a follow-up from what I did yesterday. And that's it for this video. Hope it helped.